What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie, I'm new here on the channel, and I'm really excited to keep on bringing amazing content to Touchdowns to Home Runs. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and enjoy the video. We are now just over 30 days away from the March Madness Selection Sunday, and this is one of the most exciting times for any college basketball fans. And if you're somebody like me, you're already trying to prepare on how you can get the perfect March Madness bracket. But you can't do that without staying up to date on all the latest college basketball news. And here on College Basketball Talk, we make sure they are all caught up on the news from this week, last week. Make sure you're caught up on it all. This week, number 11 draft prospect Tyrese Halliburton announced that he will miss the remainder of the season with a fractured left wrist. He was leading the way for an underwhelming Iowa State to a 10-13 record, and along the way was averaging 15 points, 6.5 assists, and 6 rebounds. The road gets no easier for Iowa State. They'll face Oklahoma and Texas this week, and then on Monday they will face number 3 Kansas in Kansas. And unfortunately, I think that means the end of the road for Iowa State. Even if they had Tyrese Halliburton, it would have been very, very difficult for them to make the tournament. But with the lack of pieces around him, now that Tyrese Halliburton's hurt, unfortunately, I don't see them making the tournament. They were one of my sleeper teams for the March Madness, so this really sucks, and Tyrese Halliburton was one of my favorite players. So I'm going to still be rooting for Iowa State the rest of the way, and I wish them the best of luck. On Monday, the AP poll came out with a new top 25 rankings, and you may have been really surprised not to see Michigan State in the top 25 for what seems like the first time in a very long time. Michigan State has lost their last 3 games, and we're going to be talking about them a bit later because what's happening to them is actually very, very interesting. The rest of the top 9 of the rankings stayed the same, meaning that Baylor stayed at the number 1 spot on top, and San Diego State, the last remaining undefeated team, is still at the number 4 position. Big jumpers this week: Marquette had a very, very impressive win over number 19 Butler. They moved up 9 spots. And even with Butler's loss, they stayed at number 19. Penn State also moved up 9 spots. 2 quality wins over Minnesota and Michigan State. They were one of Michigan State's 3 losses. The Big Ten is looking very, very good so far. And I actually didn't really pick any big teams to go that far besides Michigan last year. But this year, the Big Ten is looking very, very deep. And a lot of the games that these teams are playing are quad 1 games and very, very quality games. And I think that without a true powerhouse or a legitimate favorite to win the March Madness, I think that a Big Ten team could make a surprise this year. Other big jumpers: Colorado up 8 spots, and Houston also moved up 5. Losers this week: LSU moved down 7 spots with a second half collapse against Auburn, and a massive upset against Vandy. Or so we thought. They actually played quite well against Kentucky in their last game. Another really interesting team, I think that that people are overlooking right now is actually my team. It's Michigan, and I say this with as little bias as I possibly can. The difference in the team with and without Isaiah Livers is insane. And I want to break down so far how their season has gone so that you guys can sort of understand where I'm coming from here. Michigan began the year unranked, a new head coach in Juwan Howard, and really only picked up 1 piece in our recruiting class, which was Franz Wagner, who has been inconsistent but pretty good for us so far. We started the year off really well, went undefeated, had a decent win against Creighton up until the Battle of Atlantis. We beat Iowa State with Tyrese Halliburton. We beat a healthy North Carolina team with a healthy and good Cole Anthony. And then we beat Gonzaga, who still only have 1 loss this year. And then a couple weeks later, we lose Isaiah Livers in our game against Presbyterian. And our season really went downhill. Hopefully that stops now, though. Isaiah Livers is currently averaging 13 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and an assist. And the way I like to describe Isaiah Livers when I describe him to other people is like your Draymond Green. Although they're kind of different play styles, he's that same type of glue piece that Golden State really needed. And Isaiah Livers is that same way. The problem with Michigan and sort of why they started to go in sort of a slump is because a lot of their guys became really, really inconsistent without Livers, who is able to space the floor, get other players opportunities, and even when he's not scoring, he's still a threat from behind the arc, shooting about 50% from three. But Michigan just got him back for his first full game against Michigan State on Saturday, and you see the difference, especially in the second half when Michigan started shooting better. You see the difference that Isaiah Livers makes, and as a Michigan fan, I'm so glad to have him back. I think that Michigan could still be a low seed because I think that they still have a lot of ground to make up from their slump. But I definitely do not think they are a team that you should be overlooking. On the contrary, Michigan State, preseason ranked number 1, they've been in a real slump, and they're hitting a slump at the wrong time in the final stretch of the season. Other than Cassius Winston, players like Tillman, Malik Hall, and Aarons are just not playing the way they need to be. They've lost 3 games straight, and to be honest, they haven't even played that bad, especially in the second half of games. Their problem is they have been demolished in the first half, especially, you look at the Wisconsin game, especially. That's a game they could have won if they had played any better in the first half. And for them, the schedule gets no easier. Their next game is actually in Illinois, number 22 ranked right now. They're a really, really exciting team to watch. And then they are going to be at home against number 9 Maryland, who is also another very good Big Ten team. The final team that I want to sort of direct your attention to, a team that a lot of people are calling overrated, is Texas Tech. And I want to sort of show why Texas Tech is not an overrated team. It's actually a threat to do something in the tournament. They've crept up to the number 24 ranked. That's where they were ranked on Monday. They've won 3 in a row and currently have a 16-8 record. You got to keep in mind that this was a team who made the finals last year, ended up losing to Virginia in the national championship, but they're a well-coached team. They have experience, have players from last year, and they're playing well at the right point of the season. And this is a team who has quality wins. They've beaten Louisville, they've beaten West Virginia, they've played tight games against Baylor, against Kansas, against Kentucky. And this is a team that is built to do well, especially this year where, again, there's no team who's the clear favorite. They could do something in the tournament. And they're a team who, along the stretch of the season, these final 5 weeks or so that we have left, this is a team that you should be watching, and this is a team that could make some noise in the tournament. Some important games that you guys should be looking at later this week. On Thursday, we have number 16 Colorado at number 17 Oregon. Oregon's lost 2 in a row. They haven't been playing well late, but I think they're really underrated. And this is a team that at the beginning of the year, again, I said I really, really like them. They played extremely well against a healthy Michigan team, and they have who I think should be the player of the year in Creighton Pritchard, and have not lost a game at home yet. They're 12-0. Oregon's a team, though, that when they get hot, they're really good. When they get cold, obviously they're not. And unfortunately, they've been cold so far. They can be beaten, and their losses have come on the road, which is something to keep in mind for the tournament, because obviously you can't have home games in March Madness. On Friday, Michigan State looks to bounce back against number 9 Maryland, who's won 6 games in a row. Keep in mind that Michigan State is really, really good at home. And although they're not playing well right now or haven't played well in the past week, I do expect Michigan State to bounce back. I have Michigan State winning this game, bouncing back against number 9 Maryland. The final game that you guys should be looking at is on Saturday. Georgetown will be visiting number 19 Butler. Georgetown right now is a team right on the bubble, probably more leaning towards being out of the tournament, but they might be getting back Max McClung, who could be making a big difference for Georgetown. Georgetown is not good on the road, and Butler is good at home, so in this game I would still be leaning towards Butler, but don't be surprised if Georgetown pulls off the upset here and beats number 19 Butler on the road. If you reached the end of today's video, thank you, and if you enjoyed the content, make sure you leave a thumbs up and are subscribed to Touchdowns to Home Runs. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace.